work needs to be done. With May being Mental Health Month, we should not be complacent with where we are in this field of study. Eloise was always in the forefront of research for the next major breakthrough. While it may no longer be with us in body, her spirit must continue to guide the next generation of physicians to help find cures and ease suffering. I hope that with our work inside, we can be part of that inspiration for the present and for the future. Thank you.
Thank you, Jeff. In just a few minutes, we're going to have our ribbon cutting, but I want to take care of a few housekeeping items. First, the tours of the Eloise Museum will start at 12, and they'll be at roughly about 20 minutes, and we'll let about 12 people in at a time. In the other buildings, we'll have stationed one of our commissioners. Feel free to go into any of those buildings on your own. In the Octagon House, we hope that Pat Ibbotson would be able to be available to sign her book, or to talk about it if she feels up to it. In the Collins House, which is the yellow brick house behind you, Kathleen will be there to sign her book, so I think that's it. So we're gonna come over here and do the ribbon cutting. We also have cake and refreshments under the canopy over here. Thank you for coming out. If you have any questions about joining the commission or society, please ask. Thank you. I do have one last thing. I almost forgot. Joe Johnson, would you please come up? We're going to present Joe with his certificate of appreciation for all her hard work and her recognition of a lifelong preservation and promotion of the legacy of Eloise and Westland history.
Thank you. It was all, I just loved it. And I'm emotional, I can't talk.
Okay, everybody, let's count them down from three. Three, two, one. Congratulations. Okay, so we've officially cut the ribbon, and the Eloise Hospital Museum is now officially open for business here in the city of Westland. So we take a few minutes to talk with some people that were very instrumental in making that happen. And to my left is the vice president here in the Westland Historical Commission, Jeff Kozlowski. He's a local historian, and to my right is Joe Johnson, who's dedicated much of her lifetime to preserving history here in the city of Westland. So we'll start off with Jeff. Why don't you maybe tell us a little bit about anything behind the scenes? I mean, did you think this day would ever come? You said you got a little nervous in your speech because it's been a long time coming. So why don't you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, this was something that when I joined in 2007, this was the way long-term goal, and it was something that we weren't really sure if it was ever actually going to happen. And so along the way, it was a few events here and there, raise a few dollars here and there. I remember very distinctly one day another commissioner and we just went to a hardware store and got a bucket of epoxy and said, we're going to do this ourselves, and not realizing the amount of work that was needed to go into it. But being here, 11 years since I first joined, and seeing it here and alive and real, it's still a little tough to take in that it actually is here happening, but we could not be more happy about it.
Well, thank you. And so, Joe, I know that you've been involved with the Historical Village Park, almost maybe even since its inception. I know that a lot of you've always done a good job of making sure that whoever was in the mayor's office or the city council always knew that history was important, and we always made sure that there was funding for it. And I know this Eloise Museum it has been a passion of yours for a long time. So how does it feel?
It feels great, and I was glad when Jeff joined the commission. I could see where I had a dedicated young fella that helped take over, and he really put the museum together. He got the company to come, and they've done a marvelous job. And I'm so glad that Jeff joined us.
All right, well, we certainly appreciate your dedication to the park, plus also your financial contribution to make the museum basically kind of not only happen, but be at the level of professionalism that our viewers are going to see today. So thank you once again. Council President talked about the master plan. Part of the master plan is to eventually expand the footprint here, maybe purchase some additional property so we can make this more of a event-friendly place with more parking, maybe potential, maybe more potential buildings coming here and something. So, how does that feel? How did the commission respond to some of those master plan ideas?
Well, we were really excited in that the city with you, with Council President Godbout, and everybody that has attended our meetings and saw what we were trying to do and said, I want to be a part of this. And whenever we said we needed something, they jumped in and said, we have you, we've got your back. And now that this is completed, when we can look back into the woods behind us, or we can look at buildings that we've acquired but haven't really fully utilized yet. We know that we have a really good support system here in Westland through our elected officials. And now we just know we just don't stop dreaming, to keep going and know that even more could be done here.
All right, well, you keep working hard, and Joe, thank you for your continued counsel and guidance and your contributions over the year too. So with that, I think we should go and enjoy the museum.
We should.
All right.
Hello everyone, I'm Jeff Kozlowski, Vice President of the Westland Historic Commission. We finally cut the ribbon on our brand new Eloise Hospital Museum, and we could not be more excited to have it open and for you to be joining us here. Now, if you'd like to see it in person, we're open every Saturday from 1 p.m. until 4 p.m. for all visitors to be able to see and take tours through. But for today, we're just going to give you a sneak peek of what everybody's been talking about so far. Now, we've divided the history of Eloise into 4 main sections here in this building. Everything from our first room, the introduction room, to medical, to services, and then to the legacy. And we're starting here with our introduction, where you walk in and the first person you meet is little Eloise herself, the namesake of this great facility that was originally opened in 1839 and operated until 1984. When you come into this room, you get a real scope of the who, the what, the where, the when that made Eloise tick, from its geographic boundaries all the way up to its chronology and all of the major milestones that took place. But Eloise was a lot more than that. Eloise wasn't just simply an asylum, it wasn't just simply a hospital, but it was a place of pioneering medical innovations. And we hope that you'll be able to come up to the Westland Historic Village Park and be able to see that for yourself. So once you've been introduced to this wonderful facility, we're going to take a look into our next room, the medical room, and show you some of those medical innovations that Eloise pioneered. Now, after you've been introduced to the facility, here we are now in our medical room. In this, we look at all of the different pioneering medical procedures that Eloise was the first to be able to do. Everything from occupational therapy to music therapy, and even to the very first X-ray done for diagnostic purposes in the United States. Now, those policies have been around forever, and they're even still used today. But then you even get to look a little bit about what Eloise was able to try and experiment with. Everything from using television here to being able to take music and be able to bring it out to the masses. This facility was all about trying to make people healthy and use it through safe and natural means. Now, while you get these elements here in the medical facility, we also would like to take you in and show you what exactly Eloise also had in everything in our services room coming up next. Now, with medical, Eloise really was a pioneering facility, but it wasn't just patients that lived here. At its peak, Eloise had over 10,000 people, both patients and employees, that called this facility home. It truly was a city unto itself. When you come into this room, you'll be able to see all of the objects that really spelled the services of the facility. Everything from a fire department, to a police staff, to the farms, to the dairy, and to the barber shop. Now, once you get to see a little bit about the faces and the people who called Eloise their home, we think back to what happens after Eloise actually closed and how people view it today. That you'll see in the legacy room just around the corner. For residents and nearby locals of Nankin Township and Westland, they have certain images and certain ideas of what Eloise is and was, and that's what we've utilized with our final room here, the legacy room. How is Eloise thought of today, and how should we consider it? We have in this display case a constant rotating set of artifacts, so no matter which time you come in, there will always be something new and different, whether it be from local artists or artifacts that had just been donated that we have just cataloged and have prepared for people to see. We also have artifacts from the Eloise movie that was just filmed several years ago, including this sign and this diorama that was located. But we always use this to try to punch up what is the next thing that we are going to do. Museums are not a static thing, but they should be alive, and that's what we want to do here. Here in this room, we look at perhaps the most famous of all the objects that come from Eloise, this gated sign. This is a sign that many people would have seen driving past Michigan Avenue or driven under when going to visit a friend. Now, we here at the Westland Historic Village Park would love nothing more than to return the sign to its former glory. But we know that we can't do it without your help and your assistance. So we encourage you, come to the Westland Historic Village Park and make a donation and return the sign to its former glory. Now, we thank you for coming along on this tour with us, and we hope to see you any Saturday from 1 p.m. until 4 p.m. here at the Westland Historic Village Park's Eloise Hospital Museum.